What response can possibly deter the immeasurable will of a man who defies gravity? For the Utah Jazz, these are the questions that must now be answered. Down 2 games in the NBA Finals, the career-long title dreams of Karl Malone and John Stockton would stand on the brink of being swept away with another loss. For the Jazz, it's time to draw on the combination of talent and resolve that carried them to this point. And perhaps time to draw energy from a home court that yielded only 3 losses this season, none in the playoffs. Already, they've learned that the Bulls are an extraordinary opponent. To combat Chicago is to seemingly defy destiny. Tonight, the Utah Jazz must find a response that challenges greatness, or else stand in awe as greatness overwhelms another impossible dream.
Is the NBA on NBC. The 1997 NBA Finals. Tonight, it's Game 3. The Chicago Bulls versus the Utah Jazz.
It is a deafening scene at the Delta Center in Salt Lake City, and they're hoping to see the Jazz get back into the series. Well, the Utah Jazz in a must-win scenario. They do not want to go down to the Chicago Bulls 3-0. That is what they are facing here tonight. Hi, everybody. I'm Marv Albert, along with Matt Gugas and Bill Walton. And Bill, looking back to Game 2 in Chicago, it was a dismal performance by the Utah Jazz. Their coach, Jerry Sloan, said, in fact, we were intimidated by the Chicago Bulls. How can the Jazz recover from this?
Marv, for starters, they have to rebuild the spirit, which was badly broken after Game 2. And the great fans here in Utah, they'll take care of that. But then they've got to remember how to play the game of basketball and quit worrying about where they're playing. Karl Malone, atrocious offensively, nothing but the front of the rim. John Stockton couldn't even make a layup. And then the defense was non-existent. Nobody put a body anywhere all over the Chicago Bulls, who dominated the paint. Statistically, in Game 2, Stockton and Malone, terrific regular season shooters, could not find the range. 10 for 32 overall. The basket area completely dominated by the Chicago Bulls. Then, the rest of the Utah Jazz could not shoot a lick. They missed 10 free throws in the game. The second quarter, atrocious, just 11 points, and they have yet to block a shot in this series. But in the end, though, it all comes down to Karl Malone playing like an MVP. It's not about points. It's not about statistics. It's about control. It's about physical intimidation. It's not about looking down at that hand, that sore hand. It's about slapping guys around with that hand. Marv, a win tonight for Utah, and everybody's going to be asking, hey, what's wrong with the Chicago Bulls?
Well, Matt, for the Bulls, another extraordinary performance over the first 2 games by Michael Jordan. Check out these numbers for the series. 34 points per game, 51% shooting, 8.5 rebounds per game. After going through some shooting problems earlier in the playoffs, Michael Jordan very much back on target.
And Marv, I think he's just warming up, but he continues to do whatever it takes in every phase of the game. Now, Chicago's defense was stifling in Game 2, and Michael a big factor there. The steal, open floor, the pass sets up Scottie Pippen. And here's the Jordan highlight move of the game. The degree of difficulty is there, but he makes it look easy. And then his first three-pointer of the finals. So it's defense, passing, scoring, and now starting to shoot better. His chart from Game 2, 7 out of 15 from the perimeter. Now, despite Utah's poor performance in Game 2, Michael and the Chicago Bulls are going to have to raise their game even more to beat the Jazz in this wild and noisy building.
And for more on the Chicago Bulls and their visit here to Salt Lake City, let's check in with the Dean, Ahmad Rashad. Ahmad?
All right, thanks, Marv. The Chicago Bulls arrived in Park City, Utah last night, and then about 5:50 this morning, they were awakened by the Utah Fife and Drum Corps. They were all set with the authentic Civil War uniforms, and their whole purpose was to awaken the Chicago Bulls with this reveille. Now, I talked to some of the team members. They tried to downplay it, but Scottie Pippen told me that he indeed did hear it. I asked Michael Jordan about it. He said, "What band?" And some of the other players thought that this was just Utah's official way of saying welcome to the state. One other little note, talked to Scottie Pippen about his foot. He said it's the best it's felt in the last couple of games. Mark?
On a beautiful 74-degree day in this beautiful area of the country, Salt Lake City, they've been chanting MVP to get Karl Malone rolling. We're set for the introduction of the starting lineups. Let's go to the public address voice here at Delta Center, Dan Roberts.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Delta Center for the NBA Finals. This is game number 3. Introducing the starting lineup for the Chicago Bulls. Starting at forward, wearing number 33 at 6'7" from Central Arkansas, Scottie Pippen. Starting at forward, wearing number 91 at 6'6" from Southeast Oklahoma State, Dennis Rodman. Starting at center, wearing number 13 at 7'2" from New Mexico, Luke Longley. On the guard line, wearing number 9 at 6'6" from Miami of Ohio, Ron Harper. And at guard, wearing number 23 at 6'6" from North Carolina, Michael. The Bulls are coached by Bill Jackson.
Way because they could also fire up number 23, Michael Jordan.
Well, Michael has said from the very beginning of this so-called controversy that it didn't bother him. Good luck to Karl Malone. He deserved it, but Michael Jordan does not like to come in second in anything.
It'll be Greg Ostertag and Luke Longley on the opening tip. Joey Crawford with the toss. And game 3 is underway. Ron Harper, who has been an unsung hero for Chicago, able to control. Dennis Rodman with a new look. And Jordan being played by Brad Russell. Fires over him for 3.
Not a single dribble on that entire possession. Everybody touched it. Jordan beats the shot clock for the three.
Jeff Hornacek for Karl Malone, putting moves on Luke Long.
Now, two adjustments. First of all, Utah making the switch defensively. The bigger Russell might force Jordan outside. And Karl Malone going to another familiar place at that high right elbow.
Pippen, played by Hornacek. Jordan with room. And Russell able to handle the rebound.
When Hornacek was guarding Jordan, Michael would post up right away. I'm sure the Jazz would like to see Michael away from the basket as much as possible.
Again, the Bulls able to cut off Stockton as he tried to penetrate. And then Malone moves aside. Shot clock is down to 4. Hornacek with a nice pass. So Russell gives the Jazz a 1-point lead.
A different look on the faces of the Jazz tonight, Marv. Confidence, aggressiveness. They want the ball.
Longley. Saved by Russell. So Utah has come out more aggressive, something Jerry Sloan has been asking for. Hornacek able to keep it alive.
Well, anytime your coach questions your competitiveness and your will to win, that'll fire you up.
Just take this to the hoop and get a foul.
Illegal defense to call against Chicago for the first time. This lead by Utah is the first time they have led since game 1.
Brian Russell with two terrific plays, really picking it up now. The best he's played in the entire series. Look for Utah's younger players to play much better here at home.
2 minutes have gone by. Malone. And Harper getting to the rebound. Here comes Jordan. Cut off by Russell and fouled. It is a blocking foul. Foul on Russell.
Home, sweet home for the Utah Jazz. Undefeated in the playoffs, scoring a ton of points. Big point differential. On the road, though, they just cannot seem to find any sort of rhythm.
And during the regular season, Utah 38-3 here at Delta Center. Second best home record in the NBA. Again, the room for Jordan.
All set up by Scottie Pippen going to the mismatch inside against Hornacek. Drew the defense, and then they leave Jordan alone.
That's his second from downtown. Russell. It's a 3 for Brian Russell. The Jazz by 1. Pippen for 3. Yes. Well, both clubs have come out firing from long range. The Bulls 9 and the Jazz 7.
Get Karl Malone down low. The Jazz have not had anything in the basket other than Russell's broken play.
Hornacek able to hit, although Pippen got a piece of it. And the game is tied at 9.
And I noticed the Bulls dragging a little bit. It's that initial rush of the altitude, and you feel it in the opening minutes.
Pippen got bottled up and a foul is called. It is on Utah.
Altitude. They came down to Salt Lake City from up in the mountains where they're staying, Matt.
This is Jeff Hornacek. What he likes to do, get in the lane, take and make very difficult shots.
Foul was called on Stockton. Jordan trying to squeeze his way through. And the call on Jordan. Offensive foul.
Chicago goes to the pick and roll. Jordan waits for Luke Longley. Oh, that's a terrible call. They called it on Luke Longley there as he's just standing there.
Foul was on Longley, setting what was felt to be an illegal pick. Stockton, what the lead for Ostertag, and a foul. A gorgeous lead pass thrown by John Stockton, and the foul committed by Ron Harper.
Seeing a completely different Utah Jazz team from Game 2. Stockton just picking them apart, and finally Ostertag kind of hang on to it. They call the reaching in foul.
Game tied at 9. 4 minutes have gone by. Utah's opened up hitting 4 of its first 6 shots. Oh, the kick! Malone and Ostertag both firing 4. And the Jazz lead 11-9. It was tipped home by Malone, his second field goal. Longley. And Beckney says loose ball foul on Dennis Rodman.
Well, finally, Greg Ostertag getting involved at the offensive end. Nobody put a body on him as Rodman took himself out of the play. So Ostertag, this is what he did in the 2 earlier series against the Lakers and the Rockets.
Ostertag, though, has been silent in this series. Russell, offer on it. He has Pippen ahead of the field. Finds Jordan on the wing. Pippen. He is fouled.
That's a good physical play by the Jazz, and they'll take that from Ostertag. They got a lot of depth in the center position. Jordan in the air to pass, draws the defense, and then Ostertag from behind. He could have, if he played a little bit more cautiously, had a good block. But why not see if Scotty splits okay?
You guys mentioned the altitude here. For the record, Salt Lake City is 4,300 feet above sea level. I know Bill has been greatly affected.
Well, the reason why I said we're almost 5 minutes into this game, and the Bulls are leaning over, or they're pulling their shorts, hands on hip. And as a coach, what you try to do is get those players out quickly, get some substitutions in, and usually you feel much better with that second win.
Malone off the fake, got the step, and was fouled. Nice move. Once again, Phil Jackson is opening up with Luke Longley defending on Karl Malone, and that's the second committed by Longley.
Karl Malone finally determined to get to that hoop. Something we see all the time in the Western Conference. Tends to look at that hand on every miss. Now, Matt, you made a comment about the Bulls bending over. You have to wonder about Chicago's conditioning and endurance. They don't practice much at all. The injuries to Scotty and Tony Kukoc. I think Utah can really take advantage if they just get the running game going.
Well, Utah has to get out and run and get some easy baskets. They only had 2 fast break baskets, 2 fast break points in game 1, 6 in game 2. Here's the problems for Karl Malone from the free throw line in the first 2 games. 3 for 6 in the first game. Of course, those 2 key misses.
And he's playing with that nasty blister on his shooting hand, reopened when he fell to the floor in the first half the other day. Brian Williams just checked in for the first time and heard the boos from the crowd. He has made some disparaging statements about this area. Meanwhile, Karl Malone continues to have his difficulties at the line. Game tied at 11. 5 minutes gone by. Brian Williams replacing Luke Longley after Longley picked up the second. Jordan for 3. Ostertag able to swipe it on to Stockton. Malone rebounded by Pippen.
Well, the move of putting Brian Russell on Michael Jordan so far has kept Michael out of the post, where he likes to take that fadeaway jump shot. I think Michael should still go inside. He can get that shot over Brian Russell anytime he wants.
I know Jerry Sloan likes Russell on Jordan because of the 6'7", the long arms, about 225 pounds. Jordan shooting over him again. So Michael Jordan is now 2 out of 5, both from downtown. Malone on the move. Foul on Brian Williams and a timeout call.
Brian Russell, a future great player in this league, just getting started in his career, but the whole game is on display tonight. Movement without the ball, beating a stationary defender. Then the block shot defensively, igniting offensive opportunities, finishing on the break for Brian Russell. Now you look at his numbers all season long in Chicago. The top game was the one home game they've had to date. He was terrific there. Every other game played in Chicago, a disaster. The Jazz did not win a single game. They need Brian Russell at the top of his game.
Brian Russell, a second-round pick back in 1993. Came up big in the playoffs last season, in particular the Western Conference Final against the Seattle Sonics. Excellent timing on the part of Russell because he had become a free agent.
And he had the huge game in Game 4 against the Lakers that really cinched that series in the second round in support of Karl Malone. Monster game for Brian Russell.
Malone able to finish off a three-point play, and the Jazz up by 3. They bring one on Pippen. So Utah going to pressure.
Well, that's the most aggressive I've seen the Jazz defensively as far as getting after people. They have obviously a totally different attitude and personality on this home floor. No doubt they feed off this crowd.
Jerry Sloan called them out. Called them a bunch of sissies, basically. He didn't want to play.
Here's Brian Williams. Sweeping hook by Brian Williams. But Jerry Sloan was seething following Wednesday's Game 2. Felt his team did not compete hard. He was stunned that the Jazz, he felt, had actually been intimidated by the Bulls. Now Brian Williams defending on Karl Malone. Off to a terrific start. He has 9, and the Jazz up 16-13. 5.5 remaining in this first quarter. Williams in position, but way off.
And so far, Karl Malone not only scoring, doing an excellent job keeping Rodman off the offensive board.
Ostertag.
Make a shot. One time. That's a layup.
Ostertag took only one shot in Game 2 and missed it. Rodman wide open and was looking for Brian Williams, but Williams thought that Rodman would take the shot.
Well, he has been taking that shot not only in the last 2 playoff games, but in earlier series as well. And I think Brian Williams did the right thing. The way Dennis has been playing, he made the right move to try to get to the offensive end. Dennis has to take that shot.
Never take your eye off the ball.
Malone again. Getting set to check it. Howard Isley has come on for John Stockton. Here's Hoffer. And tiptoed by Williams. Brian Williams able to get a piece of it. Utah leading 18-15. Karl Malone has scored the Jazz last 9 points. We come up on 4 minutes to go in this opening quarter.
When Ostertag goes for that block, the guards have got a block on. Isley continues to play. Perfect ball in relief of John Stockton.
Well, we just saw the Jazz run a pick and roll in the middle of the floor where they were successful in Game 2, and nothing much else was successful.
Phil Jackson, not happy, wants to talk it over.
Well, the high pick and rolls in the middle of the floor, very much successful for Utah in Game 2. When they ran them on the side, very little success as Chicago able to force them down. But look at that, 12 for 20 for 20 points from the top. And moments ago, Howard Isley in the top of the floor here, the pick coming up here, and it is forced down here, but no help from Jordan and Pippen in the lane as Isley goes right down Broadway for an easy one.
And Howard Isley continues his effective play in the series. 16 points in his 20 minutes of playing time and coming on for John Stockton. Steve Kerr has checked in. He's being guarded by Isley. Here is Jordan. On Jordan.
Scottie Pippen has not tried to take advantage of Jeff Hornacek down low. I think that could be a big edge for Chicago with the defensive matchup that Sloan has devised.
Nice play by Williams. Coming up with the steal. The Jazz up 20-15. Rodman now guarded by Ostertag. Here's Pippen drawing the foul. Off the fake. Russell went for it. And he picks up his second. Want to scout the finals like a pro? Well, you can with NBA.com. Check out the animated play diagrams, detailed scouting reports on both the Bulls and the Jazz, provided incidentally by New Jersey Nets assistant coach Don Casey, the czar of the zones, and I say that with apologies to Mike Fratello. That's all exclusively on NBA.com, the official website of the NBA.
Certainly no need to apologize for Don Casey, who's a brilliant basketball mind, been in the NBA forever.
Well, Scottie Pippen now 3 of 4 at the foul line.
You see Scotty's numbers continue to go up. Talking to him, and that foot, he's walking with a pretty bad limp in between the games, but he's able to battle through it in the games.
No question, though, he's been playing in pain, aggravated the foot injury that hampered him all Wednesday night. Went 4-13 in game 2. He was hobbling after that brilliant first game that put the Bulls in position to win it on the jumper by Jordan. What a pass by Isley. And Malone able to recover the Ostertag strip. Ostertag on the ball. And he continues to have all kinds of problems.
Jerry Sloan's going to strangle Ostertag.
Jim Gray just reported from the Utah bench that Sloan said to Ostertag during the timeout, you're missing shots, but if you don't put a body on somebody, if you don't play someone physically, I'm taking you out.
Well, the amazing thing about this is earlier playoff rounds against Shaquille O'Neal, Ostertag did a nice job. Of course, Shaq's still going to score a point, and also, I say, outplayed Akeem Olajuwon in the clincher of the Western Final.
Tony Kukoc is coming in for the first time. There's a foul on Ostertag. That is his second, and now he will depart. So Ostertag sitting down and replaced by Greg Foster.
Well, I was talking with Greg before the game. He's a terrific young man, just getting started in this league. He felt so much more comfortable in this building than he did back in Utah. You just got to feel bad for this starting out player.
Greg Ostertag, number 1 draft pick last year by Utah, out of Kansas, and came a long way during this past regular season. There's Foster coming on. Greg Foster, one-time Chicago Bull, spent a brief period of time with the Bulls and on many stops around the NBA.
Well, Phil, as you've been mentioning, Howard Isley doing a nice job backing up John Stockton, and right now, with Steve Kerr not putting enough pressure on him, Isley's able to take the ball wherever he wants and get the Jazz into their offense.
And here's some pressure by Chicago. Isley able to handle it.
Isley likes Stockton, though. The pressure doesn't bother him. He just goes right through and delivers again.
Malone from Howard Isley. 13 from Malone. An enormous bounce back here in the first quarter by Karl Malone. And the Jazz up by 4. We come up on 2 minutes left in the first. Williams, that's a 4th shot.
Terrible shot by Bryant. He should be able to face up Greg Foster and drive into the basket.
And Foster fired it up. Foul is called.
Where was that shot from?
Whoa. Hopper on the foul.
Over the top, the pass, perfect on the money. You see the Chicago Bulls standing and watching. You've got to be on the move the minute the pass leaves the post feeder's hand.
Well, a big reason for that, Bill, is out of that trap, the Bulls never really regrouped defensively and picked up their men and got organized, and that's a key to Chicago's success.
A technical foul call on Ron Harper. Ron nonchalantly bending down, tying his shoelaces, but apparently had something to say to Joe Crawford, who was at his side. And the technical being taken by one of the best free throw shooters. All right, here's another look at it. So Ron pulling the ventriloquist out.
And a little after that, Joe Crawford looked at Ron Harper and said, one more word and you're out of here. Of course, the Bulls have had their problems with Joe Crawford in the past. He generally keeps a very close eye on Dennis Rodman.
Greg Foster at the free throw line. Foster, a 7-year NBA man out of Texas and UCLA. Began his college career with the Bruins.
Oh, that obviously explains the brilliant performance here in this playoffs.
Yes. 6-point Jazz lead. Just under 2 minutes to go in the first. Ryan Williams, that'll count. It is a goaltend. Ryan Williams, very active offensively. He now has 8 points.
The Bulls are looking for points. Michael's on the bench right now. Scotty has not asserted himself. The other guys don't really have much going for him, particularly Tony Kukoc with his sore foot.
And with the Jazz not able to block any shots and no real shot blocker in there right now, Chicago should be taking the ball to the basket at every opportunity.
Long sent the pick. Ball off the fake and sets it up for Horton. Foster able to retrieve.
Isley set it up perfectly again, though. Jerry Sloan remarkably calls every set play for this veteran, very intelligent team.
Isley off the crossover. Foster.
Isley again just making good decisions, and the reason is Utah has gotten away from the side of the floor where the Bulls can dictate where they want them to go. You get in the middle of the floor, much more difficult to control. Isley was in a little bit of trouble, kept his poise, and finally got the cutter, Foster.
Matt, the height of the Bulls perimeter players has not had the edge here in Salt Lake City that they had back in the first 2 games.
I think it's because they're tired. Their hands are down to their waists.
7-point Utah lead. Judd Bushler has gone. Tony Kukoc putting moves on Karl Malone and gets the roll. The Jazz 27, the Bulls 22. We are down to 50 seconds to go in this opening quarter. Isley working on Kerr. Setting up Malone.
Perfect pass again. Isley's decision. Isley has played better than John Stockton.
3 assists for Isley. 15 points for Malone. The Jazz by 7. Pippen for 3. And the foul call on Chicago.
Well, Howard Isley is being guarded by Steve Kerr as Phil Jackson elected to go with offense, but it's been defense that's been good for Chicago. Randy Brown would be doing a better job keeping Isley from getting into those positions to make those kinds of plays.
Foul on Brian Williams. 25 and 2/10 seconds left in this first quarter. And an ovation for Karl Malone as he heads to the bench.
Scottie Pippen bending over, leaning on the shorts, a telltale sign. Brian Williams was as well, as Phil Jackson has gone to a very small lineup now with a one-shot situation. Michael Jordan coming in.
This shows you how concerned Phil Jackson is, bringing Michael Jordan in for one shot here.
Utah with its biggest lead of the night. Now, Phil Jackson may be complaining about the extra substitution. Adam Keefe and Antoine Carr just allowed to check in. And the substitutions were permitted. Karl Malone with 11 of his 15 points after Luke Longley departed. Longley's given him some problems, but no problems in the first quarter for Malone with 15 points on 7 of 11 shooting. Bulls holding for a final shot of the quarter. They're down by 9. Pippen. Mars couldn't handle it. Final seconds. Bushler blocked. And it was deflected out by Pippen, who thought he was fouled by Keith with 2 seconds, 2.2 seconds to go in the first quarter.
The Bulls can't believe a foul was not called there. Utah, great opportunity.
All right, Carr fires down. Keith tried to slap it back. He did. And Hornacek shot late. Looked like a long 2 seconds. Whoa.
That's the whole 40 down for the Western Conference.
But that's the end of one. Standing ovation here in Salt Lake City for the Utah Jazz. Up by 9 on 12 of 23 from the field. Karl Malone with 15 points to lead the way. It's the Jazz 31, the Bulls 22. You're watching the NBA on it. The end of the quarter after the buzzer had sounded. Hugh Hollins with a technical foul called on Scottie Pippen, who was complaining. You recall the final seconds of the quarter. He felt, yes, that he was fouled from behind.
That is definitely a foul. Phil Jackson demonstrating over the top. My guys are getting hammered. Regardless of the time situation, referees have got to blow that whistle.
I mentioned earlier that the Bulls have had their problems with Joe Crawford, always keeping a close eye on Dennis Rodman. They have had a history with Hugh Hollins as well, going back to a Game 5 against the New York Knicks on a foul called on Scottie Pippen against Hubert Davis, a year that Michael Jordan was not available.
Oh, wait a second. You're saying that the Bulls, the most successful team, have problems with the referees? They win every game, basically.
This was without Michael Jordan.
All right, look at that opening quarter rundown. Utah finished up with an 11-4 run to end the first quarter off the technical free throw. The Jazz up by 10. Here's Chris Mars getting inside off the pass to John Stockton.
Hard in Chicago, all those little back cuts, they were there and working, but the tentative nature of the Jazz play back there caused them to miss all those shots. Today, they're all going down.
No pressure on defense is the answer.
And now the foul on Utah. It's on Carr. Michael Jordan has been very quiet. He has not scored since the first 2 minutes of the game. He's missed his last 3 shots. His first 4 shot attempts were 3-point. Downtown attempts. He's 2 of 6 overall. Opening minute, second quarter. Marv Albert, Bill Walton, Matt Dukas, Bob Rashad, and Jim Gregg. And here's Jordan. Got the step and was hit hard.
And Michael Jordan is going to make sure there, taking the perimeter shot, he knows that's not going to cut it. And already a couple calls have gone against him, a couple technical fouls. He's going to put it right to the officials, take the ball to the basket, draw contact, and get to that foul line.
Now committed by Mars. Chris Mars getting the playing time in the absence of Shannon Anderson, whose dad passed away yesterday. Anderson back home in Atlanta.
We talked at the outset about the Jazz needing to get back to their game as Jordan makes the second of 2. They are playing exactly their pace, which we saw all year long in the Western Conference. Fast break and punishing offensive execution through Malone.
Jason Campy out the floor for the first time. And that's with Antoine Carr. Carr did not have the shot. Here's Stockton. Forced it up. And Kukoc with the rebound. With Rodman and Kukoc on the front line. Jordan and Kerr in the backcourt. Kukoc, yes, and took a shot from Greg Foster. And actually, Foster on the backlash also was hit on the follow-through by Kukoc.
Well, usually when the ball is stuck on one side, it's problems even for the Chicago Bulls. They finally reversed it and got a good look at the basket.
Foster. He's on target. 6 points for Greg Foster.
And Marty's playing with such great aggression. He is banging Tony Kukoc, trying to intimidate the Bulls.
Steve Kerr in a rare situation trying to set up a shot off the dribble.
Well, he's a little frustrated because right now he's unable to keep John Stockton from controlling the tempo and making plays. Stockton has 4 assists, no turnovers.
Adam Keefe. Carr trying to punch up that rebound. We're early second. The Jazz up by 11. Jordan being guarded by Morris. And then met by Keefe who cut off. Kukoc for 3. Campy's back running the floor. Finding goals. Biggest lead of the game for Utah. They are up by 13. Kerr for 3. Well, Steve Kerr, who's been showing signs from downtown, able to hit one from straight away. It's a 10-point Jazz advantage.
But the Jazz just keep attacking. Don't slow down. That was a kick ball. Should have been called. Reset for the Jazz.
Terrific effort by Steve Kerr, who has been getting abused, though, by John Stockton. Had to make him feel confident to get the three and then make a good defensive play.
And for the Jazz, only their second turnover. Jordan slipped after getting the step. And they'll jump it up. Rodman and Keith on the tie-up. And now a timeout taken. 8:42 to go. First half. Our shots of Salt Lake City, Utah tonight coming from the Miller Eagle. The Eagle, an airplane that Miller Brewing has designed, providing fans these unique aerial views.
Barb, the vaunted Utah fast break, which got them to this grand stage, served them so well all regular season and early on in the Houston Conference Finals. Then they started not getting any opportunities and didn't get anything going in Chicago. But here, numbers galore for John Stockton to pick from. Chris Morris just glides right by his airness. And about 5 fast break points for the Utah Jazz. The Bulls have not a single fast break opportunity tonight.
Control the tip as Keith got good position on it. 8.5 remaining in the first half. It's Utah 38, Chicago 28. The Jazz attempting to get back into this series, trailing 2 games to nothing. Carmelo back on the floor. And rebounded by Michael Jordan. Malone with a 15-point first quarter. Jordan has been quiet, as has Pippen. Jordan guarded by Morris. Kukoc off the fake, got the step. The pass not handled by Cassick. And here comes Stockton.
The Jazz are the quicker, more aggressive team. Stockton just got away with a carry.
Oh, what a pass. Yes, and a count.
Utah Jazz basketball on exquisite display tonight. John Stockton will never touch the ball with that left hand. The defense, you cannot play behind Karl Malone. Too deep. Basketball at its best.
But one time he did touch it with his left hand. It should have been a turnover. It never ceases to amaze me how teams do something on their home floor and then go away and stop doing it. What was good for the Bulls, they're not doing it here.
And that was 6 assists for Stockton. Let's check in with Jim Gray. Jim?
All right, thank you, Marvel. That wound on his right hand. Mike Sheminsky, the trainer of the club, got more than 300 calls and voicemails from around the country, more than 100 Federal Express packages, lotions, ointments, creams. A lot of good suggestions, a lot of very bad ones. The worst suggestion, according to Sheminsky, he was told to soak it in Clorox on tobacco.
Oh.
Finally, they settled on a new skin, which seems to be holding up very well. Mark?
Yes, wise move passing on that particular suggestion. And Michael Jordan with his first field goal since the opening minutes of the game.
And the first time he's got into the post. That's what's been so good for Chicago in the first 2 games.
Utah by 11.
Where has Dennis Rodman been? Just 2 rebounds total tonight.
Been a major factor. The Jazz up by 13. Luke Longley, who just kept back in. He was fouled before the shot attempt, but illegal defense was called, so that will overrule the foul.
If Dennis Rodman's not going to guard Karl Malone, he's got to dominate the weak side defensive rebounding. Foster, though, just coming in over the top of Dennis and Scottie Pippen, throwing it down. He's a little worked up tonight, too.
Well, Phil Jackson and the Bulls are waiting for Dennis Rodman to get more involved in some way.
Jordan, it counts, and the foul. So Michael Jordan going to the fadeaway and took the hit. That will also lead to a Utah timeout with 6:54 remaining in this first half. Here's the move by Jordan and the foul committed by Malone. It's the Jazz 43 and the Bulls 32.
Utah in control because of the great contributions of their solid bench, which was non-existent back in Chicago. But here, Howard Isley lights him up and then finds Greg Foster, who's 3 for 3 from the floor. Chris Morris runs the floor for an easy 2 in Jordan's face. And you see the entire squad getting in. At the bottom, Antoine Carr, one of their key players, hasn't gotten it done on the points, but he has contributed mightily on the glass and defensively.
And Chicago's bench doing well, too. Brian Williams, Tony Kukoc, Steve Kerr making a contribution, but the only starter for Chicago doing anything of note, Michael Jordan.
And he just completed a three-point play, so the Jazz lead is 10. Stockton putting moves on Hopper, able to penetrate. John Stockton looking like a different player. Utah by 12. They came out with a burst at the start, sparked by Malone, and they have maintained the double-digit lead. Jordan, and here's Morris, fires, and hits.
How did we all know he was going to shoot that ball? First of all, he did a terrific defensive job on Jordan, forcing him away, take a tough shot.
And Longley stretched by Malone. Foster in the open floor, able to put it behind his back. Again, they are on their feet here in Salt Lake City. It's a 15-point Utah lead, and they're looking for more. They double up on Stockton. Foster for 3. Yes! The Jazz by 18. The alley-oop for Jordan. So it is Utah 51, Chicago 35.
But at the defensive end, the Chicago legs are dead. No quickness, no movement, no anticipation or aggressiveness.
Forget about Chicago if you're Utah and just keep playing your game.
Morris for 3. And Longley with the rebound. Pippen delivering. Intended for Rodman. Here comes Foster with the pull-up. And Longley calls for that foul, putting Keith on the deck.
Well, Karl Malone's defense tonight has been outstanding. Chris Morris's three-pointer on the break, an ill-advised shot, but it goes down. Why not? And Foster, he's stroking threes. Everything going right for the Utah Jazz.
Greg Foster now has 11 points, his season high 13 back in late January against Atlanta. Greg Foster opened up the 94-95 season with the Bulls and then was cut after only 17 games. It was his misfortune to be with Chicago when they had too many centers, or at least too many bodies at the center position. At one point, he thought his career was over.
Marv, you can never have too many centers.
Spoken like a true center.
Look at him get to the hoop.
With 20. Chicago not able to come up with a stop. Utah scoring every possession, and they lead 53-35. Randy Brown has checked in for the first time. Phil Jackson looking for some defense. Here's Brian Williams. And Stockton. Stockton for 3. And it will be Chicago ball.
Karl Malone passes up the outside shot, gets that little bit of seam. Not to be denied tonight. Michael Jordan so frustrated. What's going on out here? He's asking himself.
Well, he didn't want to come out of the game 4 minutes to go in the half. His team's struggling as Pippen gets one.
Scottie Pippen only his second field goal. It's a three-pointer. He now has 9. The Jazz up 53-38 with just under 4 minutes to go in the half. Harper with the steal.
Harper is really reading John Stockton. He told me he wants to watch Stockton's eyes all the time because Stockton's looking to get it off to somebody else.
Pippen again for 3. From Scott. Scottie Pippen for successive three-pointers. And the Jazz lead down to 12.
Well, the only two offensive threats for the Bulls right now on the floor, Brian Williams and Scottie Pippen. And Pippen's doing it right now. Kukoc waits to come in.
Scottie Pippen with his third three-pointer of the night. Hornacek on a quick release three. Rebound Foster. Well, he's equal to season high. He has 13 points.
Beautiful offensive execution. When they do miss a shot, Foster is everywhere on the weak side.
Greg Foster having the game of his professional life. Russell just went down in a collision with Williams. They double up on Brian Williams. Here's Brown. Rebounded by Rodman, who has been not only quiet, he fires a three. Terrible. Not a good decision. Dennis Rodman has not been playing with his usual fire during the course of this serve.
But look at Karl Malone. He's starting to point. He's got that anger in his eyes.
Stockton forced it, and it was knocked out of bounds by the Bulls. When we resume, 5 seconds remaining on the shot clock, 2:18 to go in this first half, and the Jazz leading 55-41. One of the heroes of the first half is the other big man, Karl Malone, with 20 points. Greg Foster with 13. Malone's in bounds, finding Russell. He lost it. Shot clock running down. And a foul call. But Chicago claiming it should be a 24-second violation, and the officials will confirm.
Jack, these clearly called the foul first, and they're going to stick with that. Jack, a tremendous referee. This is his first finals game ever in his career, which I find shocking because I think he's one of the best referees there is.
And what he did there was he went right over to Hugh Hollins and asked if it was a shot clock violation before he blew the whistle to call the foul.
Foul on Hawthorne. And Foster, an excellent foul shooter, 83% during the regular season. Just under 2 minutes to go in the half. And Steve Kerr with his second field goal. He has 5 points.
Well, good things continue to happen anytime the ball goes inside to Michael Jordan.
Stockton lost it.
Adam Keefe has got to catch that ball.
Nice Kukoc. It counts in the foul. So Brian Williams will head to the line.
Well, Chicago getting a kind of a semi-transition play, getting it into the post quickly. Nice little give and go between Kukoc and Brian Williams. Now, this Chicago defense just giving up 31 points in the first half of Game 1 at 31% shooting, and only 42 points in Game 2 have already given up 57 in this first half.
Terrible non-boxed out as the Bulls can't convert.
Utah has led by as many as 18. They now lead by 12. Adam Keefe was looking to spot it up off the screen. Malone with the step. 22 points for Karl Malone, and the Jazz up 59-45.
Chicago defense nailed to the floor much of this first half.
Pippen firing way off after hitting 3 from three-point land. Well, they're not even playing Keefe for the shot.
Scottie Pippen trying to back up into the lap of Malone to try to help out, because Karl Malone is a scoring machine right now.
Now to 45 seconds in the first half. Kukoc getting it down low again. Kukoc for 3. And Keefe rebound. Half-minute remaining in the first half. Stockton played by Jordan. So Jordan checked the clock. 10 on the 24. Malone. Wonderful shot for Stockton. Who keeps Jordan?
That's where Karl Malone has raised his game. The low post passing, the perimeter shooting. Beautiful basketball, Utah.
Final seconds of the half. Now to one. Coach. Did he get it off in time? No. It is waved off. Will not count. The outside official, Jack Lee, said it came after time had run out. Standing ovation for the Utah Jazz, desperately trying to get back into the series, trailing 2-0, leading here at the half, 61-45.
Well, the shot clock was winding down. It showed triple zeros. I'm sure the game clock triple zeros before that shot was taken, but I don't think that red light went on, but it's triple zeros.
Karl Malone with 22. Rick Foster, one of the unlikely heroes, with 15. Michael Jordan quiet with 14. Hannah Storm and the Prudential halftime report right after these words.
Scott, back in Utah, Phil Jackson a little upset at his team, told him that their bad shot selection led to a lot of easy transition backing for Utah. Also told him that their triangle offense was all but non-existent. The one thing he was really upset with, there was way too many three-point attempts. What he wants them to do is work the ball inside this second half. Go down to Jim Gray.
All right, thanks, Ahmad. Jerry Sloan told his team he's happy with their desire, happy with their hustle, the way they're shooting the ball, and the rebounding. They're going to keep going on down to Karl Malone, who had 22 points. He said, guys, I know we won't shoot the ball as well in the second half. Defense is going to win this game. Mark?
All right, thank you, Jim. And the third quarter is underway. Off the weave, Stockton handing to Hornacek with the shot clock rolling down. It's at 5. Stockton with the crossover to set it up for Hornacek.
Ostertag, big. Great sign for Jerry Sloan in Utah.
For Ostertag, his first field goal. Dennis Rodman very quiet in the first half. Michael Jordan played by Brian Russell. And here's Jordan. Ostertag with the rebound.
Mark, that's the Ostertag. Those two plays that were so critical against the Lakers with Shaq and Houston with Hakeem.
Hornacek and Stockton in the backcourt. Malone, Ostertag, and Russell up front. Here's Stockton brushing off Pippen. Hornacek. And the cut by Ostertag.
Well, we talked in the first two games about how good the Chicago defense was. The first half was absolutely miserable and a horrible start here in the third quarter. And usually the trademark of the Bulls is to come out smoking defensively. They haven't done it.
A 16-point lead by the Jazz at halftime. Longley able to get it back to Pippen. To recall, the Bulls led by 16 at the half, game 2 in Chicago.
Scotty should be able to post up against Hornacek. Forget the fadeaway and go to the hoop for Scotty.
And for Luke Longley, that his first bucket. The Jazz up 65-47. We played 2 minutes of this third quarter. They isolate Russell against Pippen. Malone screening for Stockton. Open shot for Russell. That's his second from downtown. He has 8 points.
Ron Harper unable to keep John Stockton from penetrating anytime he wants. And once John gets in there, he's finding the open people.
Now the mismatch. Pippen working on Hornacek, but Hornacek received help. Miscommunication on the part of the Bulls.
Oh, the reason the Bulls' offense is so poor, nobody wants to move. Everybody is standing flat-footed, and there's just no life out there right now.
Utah with its biggest lead. They're up by 21. Malone. Jordan fouled by Malone.
Well, one of the rare fast break opportunities for Chicago, and it was a struggle. But Greg Ostertag finally getting involved on the offensive glass with nobody boxing him out again. But Dennis Rodman just won't get a body on him. And he had a little bit there trying to hold it, but Dennis just no lift in those legs, and it's all Ostertag able to finish.
But notice how Ostertag is keeping his hands above his shoulders here. You look at the first half center comparison. Luke Longley and Greg Ostertag, the donuts. Ouch.
Brian Williams and Foster strong in reserve. Foster with the upper hand for Utah.
Greg Foster with a 15-point first half. His career high is 17. 3 minutes gone by in the third.
Turn his face against Luke Longley. Just go to the hoop.
Malone. And rebounded by Longley. Jordan waiting for teammates to join him down court.
A very unaggressive offensive game for the Bulls, Pippen and Georgia.
Second bucket for Longley. Both here in the third. It's down to a 17-point Jazz lead.
But nothing's really going to happen for the Bulls till they get after it defensively, start getting some stops, and turn them into running opportunities.
Malone. And Pippen able to rebound following the missed time. So Malone has missed his first 3 shots of this third quarter.
Terrific defensive job that time by Stockton to make Pippen pick up his dribble at half court to cut down the transition play.
Here's the mismatch. Pippen working on Stockton. And the pass broken up. It's a 3-on-1. Malone over Jordan.
Nobody in his right mind is going to get in front of Karl Malone when he's barreling down like that.
But you got to foul him. The way he's struggling from the free throw line, make him earn it from the line.
And here comes Stockton again.
The Jazz got to keep pushing, keep the run on. Make Chicago quit.
Rodman jumping. Trying to save it, but did he step out of bounds? Yes, he did.
But finally, Dennis Rodman has shown up to do something, even if the Bulls do not get the ball. The first time he has done anything, and you saw that left shoulder hit the line, but a good effort play by Dennis Rodman finally.
24 minutes for Rodman, only 3 rebounds. Phil Jackson felt the other night that Dennis was not in the game. Who has certainly been in the game. And that is now 26 points for Malone, plus a foul away from the ball.
Karl Malone can just school Luke Longley. Longley, not enough quickness to get up on top. They call the foul away from the ball. Stockton sets the good screen there, and then Scotty just throws it down. A little bit of a flop there. Scotty, though, with the arm on the shoulder of John Stockton.
And for Pippen, it's his first foul, so Stockton to the line for 1 shot. 73-51, Utah. 5 minutes in, third quarter. Shot clock down to 5. And a steal as Russell on a breakaway. And Phil Jackson calls for time.
At the outset, we talked about Utah feeding off their great crowd, getting the fast break going. That's been the story for Utah. Karl Malone finishes the break, and then he starts a break with his great defensive play, coming around the side, and then just throwing it out. And Brian Russell can certainly finish after he shuffles his feet on the traveling violations. Yes. Larry Miller, the owner, very happy. Leadership all starts at the top.
Well, it all started with a lazy Pippen pass and Luke Longley not protecting the passer, as Utah clearly with the advantage in the hustle point.
7-0 run by the Jazz. 24-point lead for Utah, their biggest lead of the night. Ryan Williams back on the floor. He has been contributing. That's 12 points for Williams.
Well, the Bulls down by 22, and it's either the altitude or they did not take the Jazz seriously after Utah's poor performance in Game 2. I think it's the former.
blocked and rejected.
What a recovery by Ron Harper.
Let's keep in mind this is a very good Utah team also.
And I think Chicago knows that. This team does not lose here in this building very often, only 3 times all season.
A Jazz team that went 64-18 during the regular season. They have overwhelmed the Bulls to this point tonight.
Ostertag with the great extension, forcing the arc. Kukoc just missed on the 3.
Malone got bottled up. The outside official, Hugh Hollins, with the call on Harper. That's 4 on Harper. Let's check it with Jim Gray. Jim?
All right, Marv, during that last timeout, Jerry Sloan looked at every one of the players on the bench and said, guys, I don't want you looking at the scoreboard. Don't want to catch any of you glancing up there. Play the game like the game is tied. If we lose our intensity, this team can come back, and they've done so time and time again. Marv?
All right, thanks, Jim. Howard Isley, who has been a very important player for the Jazz, has just come on. Give a rest to John Stockton. The Jazz up 75-53. And the call away from the ball as Hornacek was tripped up.
Well, even though 7'2" Greg Ostertag handling the ball 30 feet from the basket, you got to get up and pressure. Tony Kukoc is 10, 12, 15 feet off him, letting him just pick out a pass receiver. The Bulls are in a position right now. They have to get up and pressure every pass and obviously every shot.
Ryan Williams called on the foul, talking about what Jim was saying about Jerry Sloan. Sloan said after the game the other day that you see Malone get inside and control the boards. Sloan felt that the Utah Jazz will to win was effective the other night. And Kukoc hit by Ostertag.
When you question the character of your team publicly, that's basically calling them out and saying, let's see what you've got. The Jazz have responded perfectly tonight. One of the rare casual attempts by Karl Malone the last time down, resulting in the missed layup.
And Greg Foster has checked back in.
Great hands, Brian Russell.
Ryan Williams is trying to hit Scottie Pippen with that pass. Just under 5 minutes remaining in the third quarter. Williams guarding Malone, who faces up. Yes. Karl Malone, 13 of 23. He has 28 points. It's the Jazz 77 and the Bulls 53.
Tonight, Karl Malone is squaring all the way up. He's not half turning around like he was in the games in Utah. In Chicago, excuse me.
Here's Karl Malone, and he has been bothered by the quick hands coming down and bottom. That time he was far away enough from the basket to discourage the quick hands of Chicago coming down.
Non-shooting foul was called on the Hornacek. Here's Williams getting inside, trying to adjust. Good play by Foster coming over, and it was deflected out by the Bulls.
Now Chicago has a height advantage with Scottie Pippen working against Hornacek on the post, but the best thing for Chicago in the first half is Michael Jordan in the post. They have not gone there yet in the third quarter.
Nicely setting it up, finding Malone, who takes it to the basket.
How is that not a foul on the body check?
Foster with the intercept. Pippen broke it up. Foster with the recovery.
Jerry Sloan not happy with that shot, although Foster's having a terrific game. That was an ill-advised shot. It's only good if it goes in.
And Jerry Sloan trying to quiet down Greg Foster, who was called for that foul.
It's so emotional in here. Jerry Sloan wants one shot to go down to break this thing wide open. That was the reaction to Foster's missed shot down there.
Timeout has been called with 3:34 to go. In the third, you are watching the NBA on NBC. Through the many years that the Utah Jazz failed to make the NBA Finals, Karl Malone watched his friends Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen as they were able to play in the month of June. We talked about that with Karl Malone.
I'm not going to be ashamed to say that this past summer, I watched them, the last seconds of them winning the championship. And I watched the interviews in the locker room. And then this season, I watched the tape again. And just to see the dedication and the desire those guys had then. And, you know, it makes me want to do the same thing.
And Karl Malone has worked so hard to get to this level. Tonight it's all paying off as Brian Williams comes right out of the timeout with a jumper of his own.
The Jazz now leading 77-55 as we approach 3 minutes remaining in this third quarter.
Michael Jordan with only 2 points in this third quarter, both from the free throw line, but that time coming out of the timeout, going into the post, Michael finding the open man, Brian Williams.
Isley to Foster. Shot clock at 2. And they'll jump it up. Marv, please. Yes. No, I'll need the baseball bat to get that one down.
But what about the non-production of Mark Eaton as this ball just gets the wedgie right in there? There are 10 players in this game with as many or more rebounds than Dennis Rodman. He's got 3 rebounds on the night. Not enough.
Mark Eaton is in the building. I saw him.
Did you say Mark Eaton?
Oh, Dennis Rodman. They needed Mark Eaton to put the ball out of the ring.
You know, Matt and I looked at each other like, maybe we're wrong. Maybe he is playing.
I saw that. You guys always look at me like that, though.
Mark Eaton. Shot clock at 5. And Hopper able to knock it away with 4 on the shot. There's Mark. Unfortunately, Bill, his number is retired. He will not be available tonight.
Another self-inflicted wound.
That's terrible. Karl Malone hearing it from the crowd as he sits down. Shot clock running down, and Isley not able to convert. Jordan finding Kuka. Yes. It is a 20-point Utah lead.
Another rarity for Chicago in this game, throwing the ball ahead from the backcourt. Usually some kind of good shot will show up.
Foster being played by Kukoc. Russell for 3. And rebounded by Jordan. Bulls looking for a late rush here down the stretch in the third quarter, in particular with Malone on the bench looking to cut into that lead, which is now 20.
Malone and Stockton on the bench. That's almost like having Jordan and Pippen out of the game at the same time. It is exactly like it.
And the foul on Russell, his 3rd.
Well, anytime you can advance the ball, there's no matter how quick you are in transition defense, you just can't catch up to the basketball. As Tony Kukoc was in rhythm, had his feet set, and a good look ahead by Michael Jordan.
Utah over the foul limit. And Scottie Pippen is now just 3 of 6 at the line.
Scottie Pippen great in game 1. Remember playing on that very sore foot. Matt, you pointed it out that as this series wore on, that foot could become a huge problem. And Scottie has not been the dynamic presence that he normally is.
Yes, he re-aggravated that foot injury that occurred in game number 1. Minute and a half to go in the third quarter. The Utah Jazz trying to get back into the series, trailing coming into tonight, 2-0. Here's Carr, blocked from behind by Harper. Harper challenging nicely and beating in for the step.
And it all started at the defensive end as Carr put the ball on the floor. That's the kind of defense that Chicago played in the first 2 games. Coming back in, knocking the ball loose.
So the Jazz up by 17. We come up on a minute left in this third quarter. Kickball is called. They'll get the new 24. Only 2 teams have come back from a 2-0 deficit in the finals to win. Here's a look at that last play. And Harper with the steal coming into tonight. Utah down 2-0 to the Chicago Bulls. Isley for 3. And Williams with the rebound. And the Bulls chipping into that huge lead. They're in the midst of a 7-0 run. We're down to 40 seconds left in the third quarter. Pippen for 3.
But Foster and the bench need to hold on a little bit here. Close it out with a good play to get the crowd into it.
Bulls have a foul to give.
Oh, Pippen with the block from behind. Shot clock at 4. Isley. Foster with on the 24. Rebound, Kukoc. Final seconds, third quarter. Offer for three. And that's the end of the third. The Jazz only won for the last 13. They missed 9 straight, but they lead by 17 points as we head to the fourth quarter. Chicago concluding with a 7-0 run. We'll be back here in Salt Lake City after these messages from your local station.
At the end of the third quarter, this exchange took place between Antoine Carr and Jerry Sloan. Sloan was telling Carr, don't stand around on defense and let the Bulls go where they want to go. Jerry Sloan didn't like what Carr had to say back, and finally, as Bill Walton always said, Jerry Sloan said to him, do something, do anything. Marv?
Yes, I have heard that somewhere, but
for all that was said about Chicago's coming back, Jordan's numbers non-existent there in the third. Utah extended their lead in that third quarter, even with the terrible drought at the end.
Yes, despite 1 of 13 from the field in the final minutes, and they missed their last 9 shots. Here's Jordan. Oh, what a move. Getting it over the outstretched arm of Greg Foster. So Chicago has reeled off 9 unanswered. And the Jazz lead is now 77-62. Utah has led by as many as 24. Malone and Stockton are back. Here's Stockton.
Perfect execution of the set offense. Stockton initiates, cuts through and comes all the way around on 3 screens and gets the foul line jumper.
Jordan and Kerr now in the backcourt with Kukoc, Williams, and Bushler on the front line. Here's Kerr, blocked by Stockton.
After going 2 games without any blocked shots, everybody's getting into the act now. Even Little John.
Greg Foster and Chris Morris, both important players tonight. They're up front with Karl Malone. Stockton with the shot clock down to 2. Fires. And the rebound handled by Williams. Fourth quarter just underway. Marv Albert with Matt Dukas, Bill Walton, Jim Gray, Ahmad Rashad. Minute and a half gone by in this fourth. Kukoc. Foul on a reach-in. Foul on Malone.
John Stockton playing off the ball now, and Steve Kerr knows he's in trouble, but he's trying to trail on the play and just had to go way too wide as Kerr has had his problems with Stockton.
So Tony Kukoc to the line. There's the stat line on John Stockton. 9 assists, 7 points. All here Sunday, 5 o'clock Eastern on NBC, hosted by Ahmad. Karl Malone. Rebounded by Tony Kukoc. And here's Steve Kerr, who does not have great speed, but able to hit.
Oh, Steve Kerr did a terrific job there. He's rarely gets that kind of opportunity, and he saw the big man bearing down on him, still able to get that shot up and in.
Time for Karl Malone in the low left box right here.
Utah lead is down to 13. And the foul is called by Jim. Chicago on a 13-2 run that dates back to the third quarter, cutting into what was once a 24-point lead. It's now down to 13. Here's Hornacek. Rebounded by Bushler.
The boards are starting to be controlled by Chicago. Throughout the game, it's been Utah.
Oh, Kukoc tries to fake.
One of the few times you'll see Karl Malone go in the air to make a defensive play at the hoop.
Stockton being played by Kerr.
Soft attempt by Tony Kukoc, and he knows that he's got to at least draw a foul on that play.
Malone swinging in on Williams. Bulls wanted to travel, but a foul is called on Chicago.
There's the big four tonight. Karl Malone having an outstanding first half. John Stockton, not so much with the points, but doing a terrific job of floor generalship. A quiet night for Michael Jordan, and Scottie Pippen has just been too spotty with his offense. I thought it was interesting at that time when Karl Malone knew he was going down on the floor, made sure that he got his right hand up so he didn't put that right hand down on the floor.
And a foul committed by Brian Williams, who now has 4.
Marv, I'm flabbergasted, not by the missed free throw. Karl has had his struggles. The fact that Jordan and Pippen have 21 shot attempts between the two of them. This is their statement game, the third game of the playoffs. They've never lost one of these games on the road. Tonight they haven't brought their offensive attack.
Well, Malone is 3 for 6 at the line. He has 29 points. Utah 80 and Chicago 66. 3 minutes gone by in the fourth. Steve Kerr remaining on the floor. Phil Jackson looking for offense. Chris Morris defending on Michael Jordan with help. Kukoc for 3. Rebounded by Ostertag. Hugh Hollins seemed to indicate illegal defense. Now checking with Joe Crawford on the other side of the court.
And what he's asking Joe Crawford if it was a pump fake on the pass, because you're allowed to drop below the free throw line extended. It is a pump fake. And Joe Crawford helping Hugh Hollins out of the play on the question.
So they call it an inadvertent whistle, and they just keep the shot clock where it is.
And it's at 14 right now. Along with the pick to brush off Kerr. They double up by Malone, and Bushler with the steal, taps it ahead. Beautiful play by John Bushler. Foul on Chris Morris. That is his 3rd. Well, for those of you who would like to continue with the NBA Finals, as usual, we will have our post-game special on CNBC. That'll be immediately following tonight's game. The entire cast will retell it all with highlights, live press conference interviews, and guests. We'll take a look back at this Game 3. That's the NBA Finals post-game special immediately following this Game 3 between the Jaguars and the Bulls.
Chuck Bushler had a miserable regular season from the free throw line, just 36%.
Foul on Bushler. He blocked Stockton.
Stockton is so tricky. Very little contact on the play, but he just kept going, absorbed what there was. Just imagine how many little 5'10" guys are sitting around their living room tonight saying, yeah, that's me. I'm going to do that.
John Stockton right now realizes what an important time of the game this is really barking out to his teammates, stay in the game, get with it, get after it.
The Bulls with their 3rd team foul. Utah struggling, only 2 for the last 17. Morris for 3. Didn't really have a grip on the basketball, but fired it up.
Oh, that won't stop him.
It's a 13-point Utah advantage. Chicago very much alive after trailing by as many as 24. Just under 8 minutes to go in the fourth. Jordan. And the tip by Brian Williams.
Well, Chicago has gone to a lineup to force Stockton, the point guard, on Michael Jordan. They don't necessarily have to do it, but they did it on that possession. Jerry Sloan's got to make an adjustment there.
Malone with Rose. Ostertag with the hustle rebound and called for time. Well, a good play by Greg Ostertag, able to save the possession.
At the offensive end, Chicago getting to the glass. Ostertag and Karl Malone not boxing out there. Too easy for Chicago. Ostertag keeps it alive himself. Does the tight wire act along the sideline and says timeout. Good place for that timeout.
7:25 remaining in the fourth. Go. In the fourth quarter, it's the Jazz 80 and the Bulls 69. The Jazz only 2 for their last 18. Chicago has had its difficulties, particularly from long range. And a foul is caught on Hoffer. That's number 5 on Ron Hoffer.
Well, it's Utah's pattern coming down the stretch in fourth quarters to go to their pick and roll game, but it has not been successful from the side of the floor. They have had better luck from the top of the key in the middle.
Stockton uses the pick. Hoffer staying in with the 5 fouls. Here's Russell. He continues to hit.
I am so glad they came back with Brian Russell. Chris Morris is a little bit out of control there. Russell having his best game of the series.
Brian Russell with 12. 82-69. Utah. Bulls not getting any spacing. Kukoc had nowhere to go. Beautiful pass. Broken up. Stockton with the steal. Stockton protecting on Pippen. Setting it up for Hornacek. The tip missed by Ostertag. And last touched by the Bulls.
Brian Russell battling off the screens. Scottie Pippen not able to stay with him. You see Scottie not with that great footwork that he normally has. Very sore ball of the foot. Ostertag has become a warrior underneath the board.
Well, Russell had to create his own shot there, but on the pick and roll, Chicago has had so much success on that side pick and roll, forcing it down to the baseline. But so far, John Stockton now has been able to get to the middle of the floor.
And Luke Longley has come on for Tony Kukoc.
Still no sign of Dennis Rodman for Chicago.
Malone. Karl Malone only 3 for his last 10. Able to hit. He has 31. And the Jazz lead 84-69 with just under 6 minutes remaining in the fourth. Jordan for 3. Yes. Michael Jordan with 21 points.
Oh, Brian Russell lost concentration, actually kind of went for the loose ball, but I don't know how you can take your eyes off Michael Jordan at this time of the game.
Bulls have missed their previous 8 from downtown. Stockton checking the shot clock. Stockton with the deceptive triple.
Now the last 2 times Chicago has forced it down, and it's turned into 2 field goals. One for Malone, and the easy land for Stockton. Bulls defense falling apart.
Utah by 14. Jordan stopped by Russell, able to shoot over him. Michael Jordan with 23. It's the Jazz 86 and the Bulls 74. We have 5 minutes to go in the fourth.
And Michael has the strut, the tongue hanging out, and the look.
Stockton again.
Karl Malone and John Stockton have to touch the ball every time down the rest of the way to keep the offense rolling. No time to let up here.
Jordan putting moves on Russell. Russell played him well, did not allow the shot. Here's Longley. Rebound to Russell. Stockton accelerates and then pulled it back. Hornacek only 1 of 9 from the field. Malone. And back comes Pippen. Time running out on the Bulls. We approach 4 minutes to go in this fourth quarter. They're down by 14. Jordan for 3. Yes.
He's too good.
He had nowhere to go. Everybody on the Bulls started coming towards him, clogging up the lane. Or just step back and take a 3.
88-77 Utah. Just under 4 remaining. And the foul, offensive foul, illegal pick as Hoffer was shaken up. Foul on Malone.
The press for Chicago is bringing Karl Malone out high. He keeps both hands on the ball and a little bit of step out.
Michael Jordan with 10 of his 26 points in this fourth quarter. He has scored the last 8 for Chicago in a variety of ways, breaking the defense down in the lane. He's hit 2 3-pointers, stopping on a dot, pulling up for the the jump shot one more time with the three-point shot. And this is not anything strange to Michael Jordan. Game 2 against Washington, having a big fourth quarter. Game number 2 against Miami with 14. Game 4 against Miami with 20. And game 1 against Utah.
And here's Jordan for 3. Longley. Jordan gives it up. Pippen. Yes! A 3 for Scottie Pippen, who has been off. But it is now an 8-point game. Utah led at one point, 77-53, with 3:24 left in the third quarter. 3:15 to go here in the fourth. Malone with the step.
That's what the MVP means. Not the numbers, but at the big moments, shutting down these great runs by Chicago, who's so poised. This game's just getting started, though.
Jordan played by Stockton. We're just under 3 minutes remaining in the fourth. Pippen again for Broom for 3. Yes! Scottie Pippen with 2 enormous three-pointers. And the Jazz lead is down to 7.
And Scottie Pippen creating havoc defensively, running around as a wild card, trying to get the ball out of Stockton's hands. When Malone gets it, he's going to try to knock it loose. The Jazz have to look for Scottie Pippen's man.
And the foul on Russell as he tried to get it back. 4th team foul committed by Utah. Chicago has 4. Pippen is now 5 of 8 from three-point land. The Jazz 90 and the Bulls 83 with 2 minutes and 40 seconds to go in this fourth quarter. Hugh Hollins asking for more room on the end line, allowing Jordan to inbound.
They're coming in Utah with Foster, a little bit more offense, but they're running great screens for Pippen to get him open behind the three-point line.
Jordan picked up by Foster. Rebounded by Malone. And Malone comes up hobbling. 22nd timeout called by Jerry Sloan. So Karl Malone off that loose ball and the collision had to use the timeout. Utah has 3 timeouts left. Chicago 2 and a 20. Here's another look at it.
Well, Malone just sort of landed very awkwardly. He's one of the most durable players in the history of the game. Didn't look like the ankle turned over, really. Just maybe a hard land on the knee a little bit.
But Scottie Pippen, along with Michael Jordan, able to bring the Bulls back into a game that appeared to be gone in the third quarter.
Anytime Michael Jordan makes any kind of penetration move into the lane, he's going to draw the defense. They're going to watch Michael Jordan, and it's going to leave Kerr and Pippen open.
At one stretch, Utah led by 24. Since then, Bulls have outscored them 30 to 13. 2:15 remaining in the fourth. It's a 7-point Utah lead. Shot clock at 5. And Foster in a collision with Harper. If it's Harper, it is number 6. Let's check in with Jim Gray. Jim?
All right, Marv. Karl Malone twisted his left hip. Mike Sheminsky, the trainer, looked him over. Karl Malone said he's in a lot of pain. Looked up at the scoreboard, said, Mike, there's only 2.5 minutes left. I can get through this. Marv?
All right, Jim. And it was number 6 on Harper. An important play, particularly at the defensive end. Lost to the Bulls. Ron Harper with only 2 points, but 7 rebounds and a lot of gritty play at the defensive end. Here's Foster, who's a very fine free throw shooter. 83% for the season. He now has 16 points. He's 5 of 6 at the line. And the Jazz leading 91 to 83. And they were checking team fouls. That last foul was indeed number 5 on Chicago to put Foster at the line.
And now they've changed Utah to 3 team fouls.
Big men who can shoot free throws. Critical element for all championship teams.
Jazz leading 92-83. Bulls looking for quick shots. Time running down. Just under 2 remaining. Jordan putting a move on Russell, and the foul is called. It's on Russell. So that's 5 on Brian Russell. Well, looking ahead, game number 4 here in Salt Lake City on Sunday, starting 7 o'clock Eastern Time. Game number 5, if necessary, next Wednesday here in Salt Lake City. Pippen for 3 on this time. And rebounded by Malone, who was fouled by Longley.
Longley not really in good position to get an offensive rebound there, but a pretty smart play. If he can't get the rebound and you got Karl Malone in your sights, you might as well hack him with 1:47 to go in the fourth quarter and see if Malone can do anything at the foul line.
Looked like Karl pushed off on him on that play.
Now, Karl Malone had said after the poor performance the other night in Chicago, he won't make any excuses. He said it was embarrassing the way he played. He will try to correct things tonight in Game 3, and he has certainly done just that. Karl Malone with 34 points.
Well, Karl Malone, a different player here at home, as most players are. It really shows up in the shooting percentage. Actually, he is a 55%er during the regular season, and making free throws at this juncture is absolutely critical to his confidence.
Malone, 4 of 7 at the line this evening. Utah by 11. And again, they are on their feet at Delta Center. Pippen played by Russell, now Hornacek on Jordan. Fires the 3. Stockton with the rebound. Stockton on the run. Leading Foster, who is rejected by Jordan. Jordan able to pick up with his foot. Has a 3-on-2. Pippen steps back to shoot the 3. 94-86 with 1:15 to go.
Utah needs to keep moving that ball. Flash big guys into the center of the court.
Kukoc trying to slap it away. Call for the foul. How about Scottie Pippen? 6 3-pointers, 6 of 10 from downtown.
He waited too late to bring that, though, Marv.
Very quiet early, 22 points in all for Scottie Pippen. Very quiet first half for Pippen, only 12 points on the 3 of 6 from the field. Here's Malone again at the line.
And after Karl Malone missed those final 2 free throws in Game 1, a dead silent building for Karl Malone. He said he wanted to be back in this situation, and here he is.
The decibel level has reached its peak here in Salt Lake City, Utah. Timeouts remaining. Neither club with a foul to give. Karl Malone, 36 points, 10 rebounds. Truly an MVP performance here this evening, and truly a bounce back for Malone from what has taken place over the first 2 games. A minute 8 remaining in this fourth quarter. The Jazz 95 and the Bulls 86. A rally by Chicago, curtailed by Utah. They now lead by 10.
Now, Scottie Pippen had something to say to Malone as he walked up to the line for that free throw. Didn't faze him a bit.
Jordan putting moves on Russell. Angling the cut short of a 3-point attempt. And last touch by Utah.
The nightmare that Brian Russell lived through at the end of Game 1. He's learned a lot. Jordan trying to draw the foul there. Russell just let him get out of balance.
22nd timeout taken by Chicago. So the Bulls have just 1 timeout remaining.
Well, coming out of that timeout, Scottie Pippen had said something to Karl Malone, if you'll remember, back at the end of Game 1. Something about the mailman not delivering on Sunday, and that was very prophetic.
But the mailman has been delivering here at home on Friday.
Matt, you must have unbelievable ears, because I can't hear a thing in here. It must be the rabbit ears that all coaches develop.
The Utah Jazz on their way They're cutting it to a 2-1 lead in this best of 7 NBA Finals series. Russell with the rebound.
Give the ball to John Stockton here.
Hornacek surrounded and thrown away. Jordan setting it up for Kerr for three, way off. Pippen looking to get it outside, but he was hacked with 36 seconds left.
Well, the Utah guards at the end of games 1 and 2, John Stockton had turnover problems, although it certainly was a huge factor in game 1. Game 2 was a kind of a cosmetic comeback by Utah.
Scottie Pippen, 4 of 7 at the line. He's hit 6 3-pointers. The NBA Finals record most 3-pointers in a single game held by Kenny Smith of the Houston Rockets. 7 back in game 1 of 1995.
But in any event, Bill, I liked your idea better. I take my chances putting the ball in the hands of John Stockton at this point.
The Jazz 96 and the Bulls 88, and off the pressure, the foul on Pippen. Down to 35 and 9/10 seconds to go. And there's Steve Young, San Francisco 49er quarterback and a product of Brigham Young, taking it all in with Senator Orrin Hatch, who is actually 2 seats away from Utah Jazz head coach Jerry Sloan.
That's just to give some extra advice.
Well, the Jazz now 19 of 23 at the line.
Mike Szymanski in the white shirt, he's the buffer right there.
Yeah, Mike, the Utah trainer, passing on advice from the senator. The Jazz 98 and the Bulls 88. We come up on a half-minute remaining. Pippen way downtown, and that's 7 3-pointers to tie an NBA Finals record. Again, the Bulls give the foul. It's down to a 7-point lead with 29 and 5/10 seconds to go.
And now the right man going to the line for the Utah Jazz. John Stockton in the fourth quarter at the bottom of your screen in this spring's playoff, near perfect.
Stockton tonight 1 for 1 at the line. The Jazz 99, the Bulls 91. Chicago has 1 timeout left. The Jazz up by 9. Jordan hustling down. Jordan did not take the shot. Gave it to Bushler, who hit. 100 to 93, and again a foul. Given by Jordan. Once again, Stockton to the line.
Wait a minute now. I have seen some great crossovers in my day. Tim Hardaway, Allen Iverson. But if this is not a carry, I don't know what is. Michael Jordan bearing down on Jeff Hornacek.
And look at Hornacek's face on the other side. Wait a second. How can you play defense if you're not going to call that?
And Michael, believe me, doesn't even need that. But he wanted to make sure that he cleared the defender and got into the lane.
Matt, are you saying it was an illegal move?
Yes, I am. I will go out on that limb.
Stockton is 4 for 4 at the line. The Jazz up by 8 with 21 and 3/10 seconds remaining in the fourth.
Stockton perfect at the line. Nothing but the bottom of the net.
And Chicago has taken its final timeout. Phil Jackson upset. He felt there were several Utah players cheating and jumping in as they were lined up for that Stockton free throw.
Details.
Now let's see if we can pick it out. Here it is.
Jason Caffey in there way too quick. But it doesn't hurt to try to complain about something, try to buy something for game number 4.
Well, 21 and 3/10 seconds remaining in the fourth quarter. Utah with a 102-93 lead. They have a 24-point lead in the third quarter. Chicago led by Michael Jordan. Scottie Pippen able to come roaring back but trailing here by 9.
And
the reason why Phil Jackson is complaining, Karl Malone is not in his proper spot, which is the second position next to Jason Caffey. He is one too high, and Phil trying to rule that should have been a violation and no free throw.
that's not the reason why Chicago's losing this game.
And Utah is 24 of 28 at the foul line. The Chicago strategy, obviously, down the stretch, try to hit the quick three and then foul, but the Jazz going to the line and hitting their shots.
Mark, the great thing for Utah, though, was when Chicago made that big run late, Karl Malone took over. He got that big drive left from the top of the key. He hit the big free throws. And now Stockton has just iced it with all of his free throws.
And Bill, it's been one of those games for Malone. He's been solid throughout. He had a quiet period over a brief stretch, but he has 37 points on 15 of 29 shooting, and he's also done a good job at the foul line. Jordan for three, way off. Stockton rebounds it again. The foul given by Kerr.
Well, the exact same play that Chicago ran to get Michael Jordan open for the winning shot in game one. They ran it again to set Michael up for a three-point look, but in the little back screen and exchange between Jordan and Pippen without the ball, Scotty ran right into Michael Jordan.
Down to 15 and 7/10 seconds to go. Stockton is 5 for 5 at the line. Along with Karl Malone, it has been a dramatic turnaround game for John Stockton. He now has 16 points and 12 assists.
And a very interesting 48 hours coming up before the start of Game 4.
Game 4, Sunday here in Salt Lake City. We'll have it right here on NBC starting at 7 o'clock Eastern Time, 4 Pacific Coast. And then game number 5, Wednesday here in Salt Lake City and on NBC.
Utah's got a head of steam. Watch out for the Jazz.
Malone off the intercept. Stockton will run it out. Down to 10 seconds. And they're on their feet. Standing ovation. And the Utah Jazz will have been able to get back into the series with a solid performance as they defeat the Chicago Bulls.